Township Clerk, would you call the roll?
No.
Oh, sorry, Rodney. Do you have your TV on? Ah.
Trustee Burris. Trustee Fisk. Trustee Braithwaite. Trustee Wynn. Trustee Wilson. Trustee Tisdall.
Here.
Trustee Holmes.
Here.
Trustee Tindem. Trustee Grover. Trustee Rainey. 10-0.
We have a quorum. Welcome to the Township meeting, Monday, December 9th, 2013. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the September 23rd, 2013 Town Board meeting. And you could also approve the minutes of the November 25th, 2013 Town Board meeting at the same time if you so choose.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And thank you, Jonathan. Next is citizen comment. And the first four speakers, please come and give your name and address. Priscilla Giles, Junad Risky, Jackie April, my apologies, and Madeline Ducray.
My name is Priscilla Giles, and I live at 1829 Ashland in Evanston. I am speaking in favor of keeping the township, and I'm saying that Scrooge in Dickens' The Christmas Carol has come to Evanston, not at any theater, but in the City Council of City of Evanston that seeks to destroy a well-run, necessary organization that is needed by people who may not even realize they may need it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Junad Risky, 2784 Sheridan. I have to wonder why the city wants to take over the township. I believe the clients do have something to fear. When the city took over ECTV, the public television station, and moved it to the second floor of the service center, and I've told you this several times, they violated the law, and by ADA there's no public access. So they denied access to many of the users. In a way that might parallel what could happen with the township. It appears also the city gutted the ECTV's operating budget and basically cut positions and eliminated things. But do we have public television programming here anymore like we had before this was done? And where did the money go? Did we see any savings in our cable bills? Anyone who has cables, bills didn't get a cut. The city didn't give us anything back. So where did the money go? So the township, I think, his funds are going to be misused just like that. Basically what happened, when the city's also misused funds too. The city claimed that it took township money for social services, but those programs didn't service the clients of the township. The city said yes they did, but those programs were basically programs the city already funded out of his budget, so it just took township funds again. So I believe there's just an attitude here of this township is something we can take some money from and not really deal with the issues of running the township. And I think people are starting to see that. And I keep on talking about the water bill increases because if the council is concerned about the public, you know I've told you many times now about what I believe to be an unnecessary expense on a water tank that'll cost the taxpayers or water rate payers 20%. And that really will hurt the poorest people in this community. Does the council really want to listen to most of the people that are against this appear to be from the black community? To me, it appears there's a strong arrogance in the city council and in the city. I recently learned of this painting the city purchased of 3 black leaders, spent $6,000 on it. Appeared to have consulted no one. It's hanging over at Fleetwood Jourdain, and I went over there to look for it, and the people didn't even know it existed over there. So, I mean, what is the city really doing? It wants to just sort of control things in an arrogant fashion. And I mean, frankly, there's money is continually being wasted here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, just to make a point, the Evanston Community Media Center remains a separate nonprofit organization. The city is a funder of the organization, but we have not taken it over. It remains a separate nonprofit.
May I ask who has the funds then?
Jackie, April?
Hi, my name is Jackie April, and I spoke at the December 2nd, 2013 meeting, and I just want to reiterate the same thing that I said last time, only I'm going to be very brief about this. I'd like to ask the City Council to repeal Ordinance 105-013. At our last meeting, Mr. Bobkowitz said that he's not the one that called for the dissolution of the Township of Evanston. The City Council is. And so my purpose for being here today is to speak to the council members and the, I guess, trustees. And supposedly they're one and the same. I'd like to also reiterate that I think that the township and the city should remain separate entities. And I'd just like to go over some of the things that the township does, not for you, but for the people who may not know what they do. The programs and services that they have are Job Club, Worksite Training, 50/50 Work Program, Adult Basic Education and GED Preparation, Counseling Services, Access to Care Services, Coast to Coast Prescription Drug Program, Medical Assistance, Notary on Site. I didn't even know they did that. Rental and mortgage assistance, condominium assessment fees, utility assistance, and food assistance. I don't think that you can take people who work in a corporate office and have them just be able to work in a human services capacity. And I'd just like to also mention the story about the homeless man who didn't have an address, who was hit by a train at 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what his circumstances were, but I would assume that they're dire if he's on a train track, if he's in a fetal position. And I just don't think that there are people in the city of Evanston who could just go in and deal with people like that, who could make assessments like that. You have people that have been doing it for years and years and years, and I don't see why you need to make any changes. That's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Madeline Ducray, and then Betty Esther.
Madeline Decree. Only take a second or two, maybe a minute. I still believe that the township should not be abolished. And listening to many people out in Evanston, they believe also that it should stay as it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Betty Esther. I stay at 2031 Church Street. And I wish to take this opportunity to wish everybody a happy holiday, since we won't be here anymore until after the holiday. But my reason for standing tonight to say is that we here in Evanston is on the verge of losing something. We're going to lose a small part of Evanston that people would visit our office and felt connected to. We're going to now take that office and move it into a larger component. We are closing, there's talk of closing the township and moving it to the city government. If you know, in trying to navigate any large institution, you get voice, you get a little machine that says, if you're here for this, punch 1. If you're here for that, punch 2. Now our menu have changed, so listen to it again. Where at the township, those people did not have to hear that. So I urge for you between now and the end of the year, if it so suits you, to would rescind that ordinance 105-0-13. But most of all, seem like that will not happen. That won't be my Christmas gift. If it was, it'd be a happy one. I ask the residents, all of them, to think about the crisis we went through this year, with the budget of the United States, and who was the people that felt the brunt of it the most, those at the bottom. I have been to many meetings and have seen many conversations are talking about equity. And equity is, they say, well, it's not going to happen. The rich is getting richer and the poor is getting poor. That might be true. But if we don't care for those at the bottom, those which we call at the middle will wind up at the bottom, because there is no support for those in the middle, because the bottom do not have anything. So we need to keep the township. I urge my fellow citizens, residents, and electors on March the 18th to go out and vote no for the referendum for the dissolution and the abolishment of the township. So thank you. And y'all have a happy holiday.
Thank you. Happy holiday to you. That concludes citizen comment. Next item on the agenda is Ordinance 4T013, Evanston Township Budget for action. Been moved and seconded to approve the Evanston Township budget. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Township Clerk, would you read the roll?
Trustee Burrs. Aye. Trustee Fisk.
Aye.
Trustee Braithwaite.
Aye.
Trustee Wynn.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Tisdale.
Aye.
Trustee Holmes.
Aye.
Trustee Tyndall. Aye. Trustee Grover. Yes. Trustee Rainey. 10-0.
10-0, the budget passes. Next is Resolution 2TR13, the appointment of Township Assessor for action. City Manager, would you like to report on that?
Madam Chair, members of the Town Board, as you're all aware, as of January 1st, 2014, the office of Township Assessor will be vacant due to the passing of the elected Township Assessor, Sarah Neckersall. The Town Board can appoint a qualified person to assume the duties of Assessor effective January 1. We're making a recommendation that the Board appoint Bonnie Wilson, the current Assessor, to continue in that role. And have a resolution before you to enact that.
Trustee Rainey.
Could you tell me if the township is dissolved, what are the obligations of the township to that appointee going forward? Is this a 4-year appointment, for which we'll have to pay 4 years of salary, even if the township is dissolved?
Alderman Rainey, members of the Town Board, I'm quickly trying to pull up the law that was passed by the Illinois General Assembly.
The Township Clerk, did you have the law in front of you?
I do. It's,
Okay. Sorry, City Manager.
It does not address Alderman Rainey specifically any compensation. There's a couple of sections, so let me read them. 35 ILCS 200, secession of Township Assessor. If the office of Township Assessor in a coterminous township ceases, as provided in Article 27 of the Township Code, which is what encapsulates this bill that was passed, then the coterminous municipality shall assume the duties of the Township Assessor under the Code. I believe there's one other.
Okay, well, my concern, Mr. Township Supervisor, is that we make this appointment to assume the duties of the formerly elected township assessor, and the township is dissolved, and then we have a financial obligation should we decide not to assume the assessor's salary, which I trust we're not going to. I mean, we're saying that this is a redundant government, so I'm just wondering if we could put a limit on the appointment. In other words, you know, I'm thrilled that she's willing to do this, and that we could request that she accept this position until such time as the township is dissolved. Because it is my understanding that the elected township assessor was making comments that it was so great to know that the township could conceivably be dissolved, because there was no problem for her, because she would then get 4 years of a salary whether she had to do any work or not. I'm just saying that that's what she's saying. So I would like to amend, Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes,
Propose an amendment?
you may.
I would like to propose an amendment that the appointment be till such time as the term expires or the township is dissolved, whichever is first.
Which term is she talking about?
She's discussing, ask Trustee Rainey.
Trustee Rainey, which term are you talking about? The term that she is now?
No, the term she's being appointed to.
Okay.
She's being appointed to assume the term of Sharon Eckersall,
Okay.
who is now deceased, who was elected for a 4-year term.
Okay.
And my suggestion is that the appointment be to replace the now deceased assessor who was elected for a period of the term, or when the township is dissolved, whichever is first.
But I have a question.
Madam,
Which does, if I could just comment, which does not preclude our assuming the salary and the position. It's just that as the appointed replacement, the township salary would no longer be in effect if the township is dissolved. And I am not certain that the township salary does not provide for 4 years, even if it were dissolved. Seems like common sense to me, but I've been wrong before.
Madam Chair, before we can go even to assume that I haven't received in my hand yet her qualifications. So if she doesn't have it, then we can't go through with it. But if she has her letter, then I need to have it.
I had a funny feeling she was qualified.
Thank you very much for doing this.
I have a question.
I'm sorry, Trustee Holmes.
Alderman Rainey, in terms of, I understand exactly where you're coming from, but it would seem like to me that the motion should be as a temporary replacement until after the election. I just think that that would be the way to go. And then there could be a permanent, if the township is abolished in March, then the position could be made permanent. But in the meantime, it would be just until March.
I don't feel any ownership for the amendment.
No, I'm just asking, because that would be clearer, I think, because you can't then you would not be, you'd not be bought into the 4 years if we just did a temporary thing until March, and then after March, then it could be permanent. I mean, it's just,
But
it's,
you would use wording that would indicate that when the temporary position ended, if
right, and that's why I'm saying at the election.
our term of
Well, maybe so.
All right. Would our attorney like to opine?
Madam Mayor, members of the board, Grant Farrar, Town Board Attorney. With respect to the recently enacted Public Act in the General Assembly, the law is clear that if the resolution is indeed approved by the electors and dissolution does proceed, then by operation of law, both positions, both supervisor and assessor, would extinguish by operation of law. Therefore, this appointment, if it's approved by the board, would be overridden and essentially trumped by operation of state law, such that the appointment made tonight, there's no expectancy interest, there's no vested interest in a salary or position that cannot continue if the electors vote at the referendum to dissolve the township.
Trustee Holmes, does that take care of your
Yeah.
amendment also? Trustee Wilson?
I was just going to suggest something along the lines of what our counsel suggested, so I'll pass.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, let's see, would you?
Madam Chair, I move to appoint Bonnie Wilson as Assessor of Evanston Township effective January 1st, 2014.
That would be a good thing, Trustee Grover. It's
With
been moved-
appreciation.
Moved and seconded with appreciation to appoint Bonnie Wilson. Trustee Rainey?
And adopt the resolution.
Okay, I just received from Bonnie Wilson a letter from the State of Illinois Local Government Service Bureau, Department of Revenue. It says, this certifies that Bonnie S. Wilson has met the educational qualifications needed for the following responsibilities in regard to the Office of Assessor in Evanston Township in Cook County, Illinois. To be appointed to fill a vacancy in the office, or to enter upon the duties of the office, or to file nomination papers for the office, or to participate as a candidate in any primary or general election for the office, or to be elected to the office. These educational requirements are described in Section 2-45 of the Property Tax Code. This certification is valid from December 04, 2013 through December 31, 2014. Signed by Joellen Marr, Certifying Authority, December 5, 2013.
Thank you. Assessor Wilson, did you want to speak now? Are you trying to talk us out of appointing you, or would you like us to vote first? Vote first. Okay. Thank you. Township Clerk, would you call the roll?
Trustee Burris? Aye. Trustee Fisk?
Aye.
Trustee Braithwaite?
A thankful aye.
Trustee Wynn? Aye. Oh, Trustee Wilson?
Aye.
Trustee Tisdall?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Trustee Tindem? Aye. Trustee Grover? Aye. Trustee Rainey? Aye. 10-0.
Congratulations.
Say a few words.
Yes, you may. You have certainly earned that right.
Thank you, Madam Tisdon. Thank you, trustees. Yes, to answer Trustee Rainey's question, I had always assumed I would step down once and would not get compensation once the referendum is dissolved. However, now I want to speak. I'm Bonnie Wilson. I'm the Evanston Township Assessor. I've just been appointed for January of starting in 2014. I'm accepting this appointment today with mixed emotions, as Sharon Eckersaw would have been the next Evanston Township Assessor. In memory of Sharon, I will continue to serve the taxpayers of Evanston as your assessor and advocate, as I have done for these last 4 years. I feel strongly that Evanston Township shall not be dissolved. Both the staffs of the General Assistance Office and the Assessor's Office, and I want to point out my Deputy Assessor, Angela Butler,
who has done an excellent job at the assessor's office. And the assessor's office has done an excellent job in being advocates for the Evanston taxpayers and for the clients who are serviced by general assistance programs. May their advocacy work continue to serve the Evanston community for many years to come. I would like to remind everyone that the township is now located in the Civic Center on the first floor. You can just call 311 and you can be connected to general assistance or the assessor's office. We are here to serve the residents of Evanston Township. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is other business. Does anyone have any other business for the township? And a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Now, City Clerk, would you call the roll for the Evanston City Council?
Alderman Burris. Alderman Fisk.
Here.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Here.
Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Wilson.
Here.
Alderman Holmes.
Here.
Alderman Tindem.
Here.
Alderman Grover. Alderman Rainey. 9-0.
We have a quorum. Welcome to the Monday, December 9th, 2013 meeting of the Evanston City Council. First on the agenda is the mayor's public announcements, and I would like to remind everyone that it's the holiday season and we're hosting the annual holiday food and toy drive, and we will be collecting unwrapped toys that encourage physical and or social activities and non-perishable food items. Holiday donation boxes will be located in the lobby of one of our 9 convenient Evanston drop-off sites through Friday, December 13th. The Civic Center, the Main Library, the North Branch Library, the Robert Crown Center, Chandler, the Ecology Center, Fleetwood Jourdain, the Levy Center, and Noyes. To provide a financial contribution, residents can visit www.cityofevanston.org/holiday donation. For mail-in donations, checks should be made payable to City of Evanston Holiday Giving and mailed to the Morton Civic Center, 2100 Ridge, Evanston, Illinois. And anyone who is interested in volunteering can register by visiting www.cityofevanston.org/volunteer or by calling 847-859-7833. And I would like everyone to know there are about 250 families signed up who are counting on your donations. And please remember to donate, either drop off a toy or send a check. Thank you. City Manager, do you have public announcements?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I do. First, I'd like to ask Emily Guthrie to come up and give a plug for First Night, last council meeting before the event.
Another plug. I understand Annie Heidemann spoke earlier to ANPW, so I'll keep it brief, but I have a feeling there are some things she didn't tell you. One is that we have ordered 30-degree weather for New Year's Eve, so it will not be a night like tonight, and we're going to have a little light dusting of snow right at midnight, right in Raymond Park, just to finish the evening. If you stand at the corner of Chicago and Lake, you will be able to see all 6 venues within a block of you. So even if it's a terribly cold night, you won't have that far to go between the various venues. I want to thank the Special Events Committee that I have met with several times and fire and police representatives who have been very helpful to us, talking about crowd control, safety issues, what we're going to be doing. If we get the 3,000 people we're hoping for on New Year's, then we're really going to fill up that area and fill up Raymond Park, and that's my hope. Tickets are online through Eventbrite. You can go to that. You can go to our website, which was, I hope, finally updated today and live. We're also on Facebook. We're about to go to press with a schedule, so that should be out in the next week or 10 days. There are a lot of brochures. We're in our 5th box of 1,000, so just about any place in town you ought to be able to find a brochure. Tickets are available here at the city clerk. They're available at the Evanston Arts Center, Evanston History Center, the Chamber of Commerce, downtown Evanston, all 3 libraries. So very easy if you don't want to do it online. And I hope to see lots and lots of people. We have really, really good talent this time. And it should be an enjoyable evening. You should be able to see. If you buy your ticket now, it's $15. So it's a lot of value for the money. So I hope to see you all. I know Wally has told me he's going to be in town this year. So that 30-degree weather is for you. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. You're doing a great job.
Next, I'd like to have our Assistant Public Works Director, Jim Mayworm, come up, also with the holidays, different schedules and things. And Jim, congratulations for running around and catching those first snowflakes.
We did the best we could with a difficult kind of forecast that we had. Thank you very much, Manager Bobkowitz. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you very much. I wanted to quickly go over the upcoming holidays, not only the Christmas holiday, but the New Year's holiday as well, the interruptions to the collection schedules. On Christmas Eve, December 24th, and Christmas Day, December 25th, there'll be no solid waste or recycling collections. Those collections will resume on Thursday, December 26th, and the collections will be 1 day later. Also, in regards to New Year's Eve, there'll be no collections occurring on Wednesday, January 1st, 2014, and collections will resume on Thursday, January 2nd, also 2014, and will be generally 1 day later during the week. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
The city offices and township offices will be closed on the 24th of December and the 25th of December, as well as on New Year's Day on the 1st. And lastly, Madam Mayor, as many of you know, Carolyn Delutri, the Executive Director of Downtown Evanston, has announced her resignation and will be gone before your next council meeting. So I wanted to take this opportunity to thank her for her outstanding work. She has seen quite a lot of change in the downtown as far as programs and activities are concerned, and I think has done a lot to move us to the next level, and certainly we'll look forward to having a difficult time filling those difficult shoes. But she's done an outstanding job, and I would like to personally thank her for her outstanding work, and I think all of us in Evanston owe her a debt of gratitude for her good work.
Thank you. We certainly do owe her a great deal. City Clerk, do you have communications?
No communications.
Thank you. Next is citizen comment. I'm going to call the first 4 speakers. Would you please come and give your name and address? Junad Risky, DeKel Fonda, Emma Garl-Smith, Jackie Newsom.
Sorry. Junad Risky, 2784 Sharon. Before I get into my speech, I thought it was very interesting about Bonnie Wilson. If she's going to not be elected official, she makes an $8,000 a year salary. What city employee makes $8,000 a year with her qualifications? So where's the cost savings? Please tell me. Anyway, let me get into my speech tonight. What I wanted to do is thank Alderman Braithwaite for suggesting I be appointed to the Utility Commission. But what's more important is that the council members start to understand what is going on in the water utility. I strongly believe the entire water production operation is in trouble, along with its capital program. Tonight you can approve a 10% water increase, which was claimed to be for capital, which is not for capital, but really is for other things. And I believe this will just keep what's going on there going. But I want you to strongly tell the city manager, which I think some of you already have told Mr. Stonebeck tonight, that this is only a 10% increase and everything else on there is not being approved in that memo. Because what that memo really is outlining is a plan not just for a 30% increase, but basically it's going on beyond that for 50, maybe up to 50, 60% increase is what's implied in that memo. And I strongly suggest the water department be told to bring forth the water tank study now and explain it to us why we need to spend $100,000 for another study. I've been here a long time, and that's what goes on. When you don't get the answer you want, you produce another study. That was done 3 times for Robert Crown and didn't produce anything. So I'd like to get that out on the table soon, because 20% water bill increase is an outrage when it has no purpose. Really, it's clear to me that it was more for a political purpose. It's also time to get the truth out about the real operation over there and its profitability. I've been talking about that for a long time, but 80% of the sales are to other people, and those sales are not making money. And it's time the council keeps asking questions about how the capital is being used and who's paying for the capital. Because it's my understanding if you build this water tank, there will be no other payers than the citizens of Evanston, so they will absorb the $26 million. The other ratepayers will not have to pay for this. So this is not a good thing. I really do. Also, I'm going to talk about another capital item. That's that fire station number 2. I filed a FOIA to look into that whole matter because, as I strongly have told you, I don't believe that's a good use of taxpayer money to renovate a kitchen that's in reasonably good condition for $200,000. So it's here again. We're just misusing capital, and people are really suffering because they keep paying higher and higher taxes for this. I also will thank Alderman Rainey for at least asking the question about the capital and how it's being spent, because we need to start asking who's paying for this stuff, really, with this water department. And finally, our water bill should not be used really for political purposes, such as building a water tank. Thank you.
Thank you.
To Califonda, second ward. I would like to briefly address the proposal that will be presented tonight to you for surveillance cameras. And we're actually a little surprised that it's on the agenda because our understanding was that there will be 2 public meetings this week and next week, after which the proposal would come back to council. So what I'd like to say to begin is that I deeply understand, and I've had this conversation with Madam Mayor, that there is no debate about your sincerity or the sincerity of this proposal and its intent to keep our children safe. I don't think there's a debate in this community about that. We all want that. How we do that, I think, is debatable, and I think this proposal is debatable, and I think that we need to have a vigorous community conversation about it. So what I've done tonight is I have put together, I've been talking to people in the cafes, at the gym, in my neighborhood, and I've listed some of the questions that I'm hearing. And I apologize to their authors for paraphrasing, but I would like to give you some sense about what's being asked. And I think these questions will be asked tomorrow night at Levy Center and also at Fleetwood Jourdain next week. Questions such as, do cameras which are not monitored in real time and have no facial recognition capacity offer real or just perceived safety? What does independent academic research tell us about cameras decreasing violent crime or just property crime? What do the Evanston police statistics indicate about violent crime on the full length of these quarters? What will the collateral impact be on surrounding neighborhoods and area businesses? Do cameras push potential crime into surrounding streets? Would cameras cause students to be less vigilant and cautious as they need to be? Would a human, i.e. increased police presence, perhaps on bikes, be a more effective deterrent than camera technology? How do we find the balance between security and privacy? And what are the privacy and the civil liberty concerns? Since $60,000 is recently designated by the city for lights and cameras for a 2-block perimeter around the high school, why the rush to create a surveillance zone all the way down these 2 main arteries in our city? Those are just some of the questions, and I know there will be far more tomorrow night. But what I'd like to ask is that if this proposal does come back to you, that you look deeply, or to use the term of longtime civil rights activist Harry Belafonte that was in Evanston this past year, that you give radical thought to the issues involved in a decision to create 2 surveillance corridors through the heart of Evanston's most diverse communities. Thanks.
Thank you.
Emma Garl-Smith, 8th Ward. So I'd also like to comment on the issue of the surveillance cameras. With a small amount of data, there's a lot out there. In the United Kingdom, there's been, for about 20 years, there's been cameras. It started out with a couple hundred, and now they have over 4.2 million cameras. That's 1 camera for every 14 citizens in England and Wales. And they have noticed no significant change in violent crime at all. A very similar case is in San Francisco. and that research was done by UK experts. And then in San Francisco, the San Francisco Gate reported on also their cameras, and they found that there was also no significant effect. And actually, after 2 years of having cameras, they noticed a 12-year high in homicides. And so, those are just that, in that case, it suggested a placebo effect. Again, with the idea of, are the kids really safe, in terms of the Evanston community and where we're planning on putting the cameras. I'd also like to point out potential media effects with my background in media, in PR and in journalism. It concerns me that the media attention, both nationally and locally, that could be brought to Evanston because of such a progressive community like Evanston to have something like cameras. I worry that could draw negative attention. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And as for Jackie Newsom, I am reading on her behalf. She isn't able to be here tonight, but she wrote a letter that she'd like me to read, if that's okay.
Did we?
So
pass an
greetings,
ordinance on-
Alderman. I'm sorry, what?
Did we not pass an ordinance on that?
It was just the city clerk.
Oh, just for the city clerk. Okay, go right ahead.
Greetings, Alderman. My name is Jackie Newsom, and I am a resident of the 8th Ward. Please forgive me for not being able to attend the meeting in person tonight. Please don't take my failure to be present as apathy. I truly am interested in helping Evanston become a safer place. In fact, when it comes to student safety, I believe most, if not all, of the citizens of Evanston are interested in helping our city become safer. And that's why I'm suggesting that the city go above and beyond its usual due diligence practices when it comes to informing citizens about this surveillance proposal. December is a busy month for students like me, but it is also busy for those planning vacations, buying holiday gifts, and preparing college applications. It's an even busier time for those who are less fortunate and find themselves worried about daily survival as the weather gets colder. I was hoping the mayor would consider adding at least 2 more meeting times after the holidays in order to inform those citizens who are far too busy or literally incapable of making it to the meeting tomorrow or on the 18th. Perhaps the other 2 meetings could be held at the high school in the Little Theater or at Robert Crown. Finally, I was hoping the mayor would consider working with some community volunteers to bring in experts in the field of child safety or child development from Northwestern or elsewhere to explain to the community what best practices are for making students safer in our community. These panels could happen after the holiday season to ensure a great turnout for Evanston residents. Thank you for taking time to consider my suggestions.
You can give Ms. Newsom my response. There is grant money that will be available in January, so we need to be ready to either apply or not apply for the grant money in January. That's why we're having the meetings now.
Thank you.
Alderman Rainey?
Madam Mayor, will the meetings be recorded for replay on either YouTube or Channel 6?
Everything's replayed on YouTube. I don't know.
We had not made plans.
We have not set up there at the Levy Center and then at Fleetwood. I've already met twice. Met with Alderman Holmes's ward meeting and Alderman Braithwaite's.
I was just
Those were not
somebody
recorded.
who was going to miss it could watch.
Yeah, sorry.
But I agree, you've done a yeoman's job in publicizing this.
And I'm also talking to everyone I meet. Madeline. Is Madeline speaking again? There she couldn't see you back there. Sorry, City Clerk?
May I have the letter that you just read so I can put it in the minutes, please, since I can't read it?
Yes, I have cough drops here, a sack of them for anyone.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Just start hurling. I'm sorry, Madeline, go ahead.
It's okay. My name is Madeline Ducree, resident of the 5th Ward. I urge the city council members not to vote on this total 33% water rate increasement in the next 3 years. I read or heard the average single-family home water bill will increase by about $19 in 2014. My water bill has increased tremendously with the sewer system going on. I cannot afford to pay these water bills. And I know I'm not the only one. I've talked to my alderman to explain to her, to pass, the word around to the rest of the council members. And I'm quite sure it's not only in the Fifth Ward, by the way. I've heard other people in wards here, water bill is going up, especially in Alderman Peters' Braithwaite ward. They cannot afford this. And what is going to happen when they cannot afford this? We need another way of dealing with it. And I know we need money in Evanston, but not everything attached to the water bill. Thank God we don't live in Memphis, Tennessee, where everything, gas, heat, and water, is on the same bill. Believe me, you will have a lot of people out in the street. About the cameras. A lot of people have been talking about the cameras in the areas that the mayor suggested. And many of the things I heard is that it may be a deterrent, but this is the way they look at it, the deterrent of going this way or that way as far as crime. What the people are saying in the area where I come from is that if someone wants to commit a crime, they're not going to go up Dodge to Howard Street. They're not going to go to McCormick to Church Street and Ridge. They're going to do it on a side street. I did a little research myself. Cameras are there unless you're monitoring this camera 24/7. It's a prevention. And when I say a prevention, no, I can't even use that word because it's an after effect. After effect. Something is done, then maybe you can see something. I suggest we get those cameras, put them at a place where they are needed. Fleetwood Jardine, Chandler's, the high school, Haven, Nichols. Put them at those schools. And then it will also be fair to all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Betty Esther and then Jackie April.
Good evening. You have before you the township budget that you will be voting on to create a levy. And in the material that was in the package, which was interesting, the memo from Mr. Bakowitz, acting township supervisor / city manager. And in this budget, in this memorandum, he states this in the summary, he talks about about 5T-0-13. His last sentence says, this change results in a total tax levy as extended for 2013 of $1,145,201. That's what is going to be levied. And earlier this evening, I asked, would that be increasing the levy? And he said no, because they was using the 2.04, which was the lower loss factor, which brought it down. But the extended tax for 2013 was $1,122,306. That is a difference of $22,809, $22,895 from the proposed levy of $1,145,201. That is an increase. Even with that loss factor, that loss factor was somehow figured on what was there at 2013, which was the $1,122,000, then you increased it. So does that mean, then that was termed, to me, what it's saying is that the taxes for the township will be increased. About how much? I didn't work out the figures to come up with the percentage, but it will be increased by $22,895. If we're going to talk about truth in taxation, we have to make this, I know taxes and language and this stuff is cumbersome to explain, and you might need more paper and we're killing more trees, but we need to do a better job. Because if it's extended for 2013, that $1,145,201 is not the extension for 2013. So that needs to be looked at before it's voted, and make sure that the right amount is sent to the Cook County treasurer for them to collect the taxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jackie April again, and I'm from the 4th Ward. I would like to talk about the township one more time because I forgot something the last time.
Okay, this is for agenda items only, but you're also signed up to speak on non-agenda items, so you could do it then.
I'll do it then, thank you.
All right, it'll happen very soon. The next two speakers are Madeline Dupree and Jackie April. I promised you.
Madeline's saying no.
Madeline is, okay, and now you're on. I promised you it would be quick, and I am really delivering.
You're wonderful. I like you a lot. I just wanted to let everyone know that there's going to be a township voter registration drive on Thursday, January 16th, 2014. And also, if you're not registered to vote, you can do so at the city clerk's office. You just need to bring in 2 forms of ID. Only one needs to have a picture on it. Something that I did not bring up in regard to the dissolution of the Township of Evanston is that we had a special meeting on December 2nd, 2013, and normally those are videotaped and they're posted on YouTube. I have not seen it posted on YouTube yet, and I would like a special request that you do so. The reason being, when I was on the City of Evanston website, I looked at your org chart, and at the top of your org chart are the citizens of Evanston. And ironically, most of the people that I spoke to in regard to this issue were not aware of this issue. So if you can make that tape available so that they can become aware of the issue and the background and what we're fighting for, that would be great. The other thing is I'd like to mention the Evanston Roundtable. They wrote an article in regard to that meeting. It's number 25, December 5th, 2013. On page 3, the title is Special Township Meeting Brings New Faces to Council Chambers. Also, they wrote something up on page 7 called Save the Township, an opinion by Sean Jones, who at first was for abolishing the township, but now he is having second thoughts and he's not. Also, Evanston Now has written something up, and I'm sorry, I forget the name of it, but I think it was called Distrust at the Town Meeting. That's all I have to say, and if my name comes up again, over and done. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you. That does end citizen comment. Next is a special order of business community cameras. And before the chief speaks and answers most of the questions that have been raised, because they are questions for experts in policing, I wanted to describe why I started on this quest. There is a survey based on 20 years of research by the Consortium on Chicago School Research. They did a survey of Illinois high schools, and the results at ETHS showed that about a quarter of the students are concerned about their safety going to and from school. An even greater number is concerned about their safety close to the school building. When I was on the board and the chief confirmed for me that it is still the same, it was said of the students that they would have a fight on the school grounds or across the street in full view of the police and the security department if they wanted the fight to be stopped. And if they wanted the fight not to be stopped, they would fight a block or two away from the high school where no one would see them, so no one would stop the fight. The reason that I've proposed applying for a grant of money that it hopefully will be available in January is to make the students feel and to make them be safer going north, south, east, and west as they go to and from Evanston High School. And the chief can speak to whether or not cameras do or do not, in his opinion, are or are not a useful tool for the police department. I certainly do not wish to do anything that the police department does not feel, based on their studies of the issue, that would be effective. I did go door to door on the 2000 block of Darrow last night, as I do after all homicides, and I talked to the citizens who live there, and I brought up cameras with many of them, and they were universally supportive of the idea. And living as close to Dodge as they do, they were very concerned that children have a safe route, and they felt it would be an effective deterrent. Whoever spoke and discussed crime moving a couple blocks away from the cameras, that gives students who want a safe route to go. So I certainly would like crime to move out of town entirely, but I do think that we owe our students a safe route to and from high school. And while nothing will ever be completely safe, at least safer, and that's what I'm trying to provide. So, Chief, would you like to take it away? Briefly, and I'm sorry, this is already 9 o'clock at night.
Good evening, Your Honor, Alderman, City Clerk. I will keep this brief because I'm pretty certain there must be other Bears fans in the audience, so I will get through this as quickly as I can. I would like to mention some background information to this. This didn't fall from the sky. This has been an evolution of events, and many of the concerns brought up, we have Evanston experiences that speaks to them. When we installed the camera at Brummel Park back in 2007, we would have known if that camera displaced crime. It would have displaced it to someplace else in Evanston. That did not occur. A lot of the data that was cited tonight was interesting, and I would suggest that even the ACLU's position on cameras is evolving. They made a presentation at the Police Executive Research Forum Town Hall meeting in Philadelphia during the International Chiefs of Police Conference, where they were very much in support of body-worn cameras, which by officers, which I find in some ways much more intrusive than a camera on a pole. And so in this context, another thing I would like to mention is the technology of the cameras has increased 100-fold since our Brummel Park experience. The cameras we're talking about look like really big smoke detectors rather than those big boxes. I mean, so it's less aesthetically unpleasing. We've already mentioned the upcoming meetings on the 18th and tomorrow evening, and I would encourage everyone to attend and look and see what we have to say in our efforts. The slide before you shows a 1.2-mile stretch along Church Street and a 2.5-mile stretch along Dodge. This is the proposed route, and once again, camera locations are often dictated by power and other resources, so rather than say this is exactly where which camera is going to go, we want to talk about the route of the cameras or the areas that would be covered rather than specific camera locations. Also in the context, you'll see on there the existing city cameras, and as one speaker mentioned, the desire to have cameras at Fleetwood and Crown. Those projects are in progress and will be completed, at least paid for in this year. The next slide deals with an incident that occurred at Howard and Elmwood, and I want to make several points when we look at the lower quadrant of this four-section picture. Jonathan, if we could go to the next one. If we look at the lower right-hand side, you'll see the car lights moving up and down Howard Street. And shortly, you'll see an individual walking into the roadway. There he is. He walks partway across the roadway and then returns to our side of Howard Street. And you'll see shortly a large group of individuals tumbling out into the middle of the street. You'll see that basically pile of people in the middle of Howard Street. During this event, one individual suffered a stab wound to the chest. His friends decided to attempt to drive him to the hospital. They realized how much distress he was in and then called the police. One of the points I'd like to make in this event is that these camera images, although they're not great for facial recognition, they do prove what the victim told the police department. It substantiates his story, and frankly, that has become more and more important as we attempt to prosecute cases. Jonathan, if we go to the next one. This one takes a second to get going. This is a firearms event along Howard Street. If you watch right after this white car, that gentleman who's running is being shot at. There's the shooter. He dropped his gun, pick it up, and shoots a couple more times as he's moving across the parking lot. Once again, substantiated what the victim had told police, and also this film was used in insisting on improvements be made in the convenience store on the Chicago side of the street. Somewhat more mundane but equally as difficult for the people involved is this pedestrian being struck by a vehicle at Church and Benson. Watch the white SUV at the top of the screen. The pedestrian enters the crosswalk and unfortunately is struck. Once again, with this digital evidence, it's easier for us to tell a story and do what we need to do in court. I want to look at some other camera views. This is a 360 degrees camera at Howard and Elmwood. The next slide is a Howard and Custard pan tilt zoom camera, which has certain capabilities that are useful, but once again, it's a specific type of technology that has upsides and downsides to it. The next slide is Church and Sherman, another 360-degree camera. And the next slide is existing cameras in the city of Evanston. One of the points that I want to make on this is a continuation of what we're already doing, and so it's not new territory, so to speak. The next slide is a further breakdown of those cameras by ward. Jonathan, if we go to the next slide. This is the proposed camera project with ETHS, the city of Evanston, and also with support from Northwestern University. The blue dots are proposed camera locations. And once again, the cameras at Dodge and Dempster and the camera at Lion Street would be the kind depicted on Her Honor's flyer. They look like white smoke detectors. They're not the big boxy ones that we have utilized in the past. Again, this is the proposal for the proposed route of the cameras. And once again, the camera locations are often dictated by the technology of the camera and our access to power. And so that'll be, will work out as the mayor gathers further citizen comment. Also, I want to extend an invitation to you to feel free to call my office and make an appointment to come in and view live the multiple cameras we have in town. They're viewed by the 911 dispatchers, and I want to offer this invitation at the behest of the mayor to any citizen in Evanston who wants to come in and look and see what we're seeing on a daily basis. Lastly, we have some research, and this presentation will be made available on the city's website, but it's a link to multiple articles that deal with the use of cameras. In closing, I want to again emphasize this is a continuation of what we're doing, that we will follow the same rules in this quarter that we have elsewhere, but being concerned about public activities and activities on the public way, not private ones. Also, cameras aren't a silver bullet. They're not a magic solution. They are excellent technology. And from a person you employ to do what I do, the nice thing about technology is it doesn't go on vacation, doesn't take sick days, there's no shift change. It's always there. And it records the data that we need to bring successful prosecutions in court. And while there is a deterrent effect, one of the most significant deterrent effects is collecting the evidence on offenders that we can identify and prosecute so they can't reoffend. Your Honor, that will provide a similar presentation tomorrow night in the follow-on meetings. Is there any questions I can field now?
Alderman Holmes.
Could you address the whole issue of monitoring of the cameras? Because there seems to be some understanding that the cameras are not monitored.
And I'm very careful when I talk about the monitoring of cameras. When people use those words, they are led to believe that someone is there focused on that digital image. We do not have the personnel to do that. That would be extremely expensive. However, let me tell you how they are used in real time. We get a 911 call or we get a report. The 911 operator has access to those cameras real time. They will toggle to that screen or that set of cameras to determine how large the issue is. For instance, if there's a report of a disturbance, they're going to move to that camera array and tell the responding units and the on-duty supervisor of that's only a couple people, it's not a big deal, or holy cow, there's a lot of people, Sergeant, you're going to need more cars. And so we will use them that way. But when people say, is it monitored, we're talking about a huge personnel expense. And this isn't quite as interesting as watching TV. Even if the city council decided we want all the cameras monitored all the time, it would be extremely difficult to have enough personnel and rotate those personnel out so they could focus on those cameras. Because as you come and look at them in the 911 center, as I invite everybody to do, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that's just stuff. I mean, there's cars driving back and forth that aren't running into people. And fortunately,
thank heaven.
Yes, thank heaven. And also thank heaven there's not a lot of crime constantly being there. So the ability of a human being to focus on those camera images unrelentingly for extended period of time is not a realistic expectation, nor would I ask the city council to invest in personnel dollars for that effort.
But the tapes are available for review. at all times?
Yes, ma'am. Just like we showed those tapes, we went back and looked at those tapes, and all those events we recovered those images after we had started the police investigation.
Thank you. Alderman Grover?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Chief Eddington. At the same time, you don't intend on the cameras replacing patrol officers?
No, and when we have had success, and let me default to the Brummel Park example. It was a very active neighborhood watch. It was increased police patrols and the technology. This is not something that will function by itself unless we do the follow-on support and be visible in the area, engage the citizenry to call when they see suspicious activities. It won't be as nearly as effective.
Right. And will you, Madam Mayor or Chief Eddington, be recommending that these additional cameras be installed with some guidelines that might inform the public about the monitoring, the use of the information, to address some potential privacy concerns? Would you consider drafting just guidelines?
Well, that's part of the reason that we're having the two meetings. We will have flyered everyone on Church and on Dodge, and the reason that it stops at Church and Ridge is that, the downtown has private cameras everywhere, so it didn't make sense to continue it there, but those folk will all be are informed now of the two meetings and of the proposal. So I'm thinking the two meetings will be a good time to speak with
Get
them.
the feedback that would
And
be...
anyone who has privacy concerns, I think we can deal with that then and there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, Alderman Braithwaite, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Chief, thank you for the presentation, the issue, and Alderman Grove for raising the issue. It's come up a number of times, and it's going to be a very warm topic in the second ward, to say the least. But to answer one quick question, are any of the current cameras pointed at any individual's home right now? Because I did take a chance to go out and see, and I'd encourage you all to go down to the 911 center. So I'll ask the question again. Are any cameras currently pointed at any individual residence?
No, sir, they are not. We are concerned about activities on the public way. And once again, and if I can just bore you for a second with the technical issues that go with this, the level of sophistication of a camera lens that would be effective in the evening hours to shoot through glass with the multiple reflections is astronomical in price. That's not what we're asking for. And our concern is the public way. And one of the reasons why, and I appreciate you mentioning your visit to the 911 center, come and see what we do. Come and see what we do. The cameras are going to be focused on the same areas that the existing cameras are now, sir.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you for your time, Your Honor.
Alderman Rainey, could we have the consent agenda, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The first item is approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of November 25. The Administration Public Works Committee met this evening and requests approval of the City of Evanston payroll through November 17, $2,698,450.84. The city bills through December 10, the amount of $22,020,813.92, and credit card activity through October 31, $149,937.52. We ask your approval to authorize the manager to execute a contract for debris hauling and disposal with G&L Contractors in the amount of $155,540. Your approval is requested also for the first and second optional year contract renewal with Central Parking Systems, CPS, for the management and operation of the 3 downtown parking facilities from January 1, 2014 to December 31, 1st, 2015, not to exceed cost of $1,592,297 for 2014. For 2015, $1,640,032. We ask your approval also to authorize the manager to execute a change order number 1 for water treatment plant master flow meter and chemical feed improvement project with Baxter and Woodman in the not-to-exceed amount of $7,260, increasing the contract amount from $95,900 to $103,160. This will extend the contract completion date by 14 months from the 31st of October 2013 to December 31, 2014. We ask your approval to place the 2013 post-issuance report on file, the post-bond issuance report on file. Resolution 55R13 is recommended for adoption. It releases the closed session minutes listed in Exhibit A and finding that a need still exists for confidentiality as to the minutes in Exhibit B. This is for action. The following 11 abatement resolutions, A7.1 to A7.11, will decrease the amount of the 2013 property tax levy needed to retire the outstanding general obligation debt. The city's total abatement for 2013 is $8,920,101. Madam Mayor, may I ask the city attorney a question?
Yes, City Attorney.
City Attorney, may I move approval of the resolution beginning with 72R13 through the last resolution, and or do I need to read each abatement series?
I suggest, Alderman Rainey, that you read just the title only, not the text of each resolution. The Open Meetings Act only requires reading the title.
Okay, all right, I'll do that. Resolution 72R13, general obligation debt property tax abatement, but see, it doesn't say the series. I mean, that's the title of every one.
Reading the resolution number, each number is different.
Okay, all right. Resolution 72R13, general obligation debt property tax abatement. Resolution 74R13, general obligation debt property tax abatement. Resolution 75R13, general obligation debt property tax abatement. Resolution 76R13, GO debt property tax abatement. Resolution 77R13, general obligation debt property tax abatement. Resolution 78R13, general obligation property tax abatement. Resolution 79R13, general obligation debt property tax abatement. 80R13, general obligation debt property tax abatement. Resolution 81R13, general obligation debt property tax abatement. And Resolution 82R13, general obligation debt property tax abatement. Moving right along. Ordinance 127-013, the tax levy ordinance, levies the annual property tax for general fund operation, Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, and the police, fire, and pension funds in the total amount of $26,696,210. This ordinance was introduced November 11. We ask your approval of tax levy ordinance 128-013, which levies the annual property tax for special service area number 4 in the amount of $377,548. We ask your approval also of the tax levy ordinance 129-013, which levies the annual property tax for the Evanston Public Library in the amount of $5,134,793. We ask your approval also of the tax levy ordinance 5T013, which levies the annual property tax for the Township of Evanston in the amount of $1,145,000. $201. We ask your approval of ordinance 130-013, which amends the city code relating to the city water works system. Staff is recommending a 10% water rate increase, and this is for the following year, and no other years are included in this ordinance. I beg your pardon? Okay. We ask your approval also of adoption of ordinance 133-013, which amends, Title 8, Chapter 4, Section 12, imposition of a sanitation service charge to increase the sanitation charge to $17.95 per month for a 95-gallon cart. We ask your approval also for ordinance 131-013, by which the council would amend Section 1011-4 to establish one-way east traffic on Monticello Place between Orrington Avenue and the First Alley West, adjacent to Orrington Elementary School, during drop-off and pickup hours. For action also is ordinance 132-013, authorizing the city to borrow funds up to $2.3 million for the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency Public Water Supply Loan Program for the construction of the 48-inch diameter intake improvement project. The Planning and Development Committee met this evening and recommend the council approve Resolution 71R13, which authorizes the manager to execute an amendment to the professional services agreement with Parsons Brinkerhoff to extend the contract term date from October 1, 2013 to March 31, 2014. This is for the Main Street Transit-Oriented Development Study and Plan. There's no additional cost for this extension. We ask your approval for a $35,000 grant to Open Communities to continue the Evanston Landlord-Tenant Program. In 2013, the city provided a grant of $30,000. The new grant would fund the continuation of services from January 1 through January 31st of 2014. The Zoning Board of Appeals and staff in the committee recommend approval of Ordinance 123.
I believe we should take this off.
I'm
Alderman
sorry. Okay.
P3.
Being taken off.
It wasn't unanimous.
Because?
It wasn't unanimous in the committee?
It wasn't?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right.
I missed that. P3 is off the consent agenda and will be addressed by the committee chair. It is just for introduction. Does that make a difference? It's for introduction. Do you want it off?
It's fine if we leave it.
Pardon me?
Okay, that's fine. We can leave it on. Yeah.
We'll take it off next one.
Yeah. That's fine.
Human Service, okay, I'm going to repeat that just so we have it on the record. The Zoning Board of Appeals and staff and committee recommend approval of Ordinance 123-013 to allow one open parking space in the front yard at 1912 Livingston Street. It's for introduction. The Human Services Committee met and recommend approval of the Township of Evanston bills for November 2013 in an amount totaling $92,538.32. The mayor has not recommended any appointments this evening, and therefore I move the consent agenda. I beg your pardon. No, I did not take 812 off. Okay, wait. Okay, 812, the matter having to do with waterworks system, the increase of 10%. I'm sorry, I'm withdrawing that motion, and it is off the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second? Been moved and seconded to pass the consent agenda without A12, yes. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Burris. Alderman Fisk. Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson. Alderman Holmes. Alderman Tindem. Alderman Grover. Alderman Rainey. 9-0.
9-0, the consent agenda passes. Alderman Rainey, could we have Administration and Public Works?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move approval of A12, which is Ordinance 130-013, which amends the City Code, Title 7, Chapter 12, relating to the city waterworks system, a 10% water rate increase. The ordinance was introduced November 25.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to pass Ordinance 130-013, amending the City Code relating to the city waterworks system. Does anyone want to speak to the issue? I think, no. You just want to vote? Okay. Alderman Rainey.
I'm going to vote for this, and I just want to explain why, because I agree with everything Madeline said and everybody else that has a problem with this. However, the cost to citizens and to our community of failed water main breaks is just incredible, and it costs money to make these repairs. And so for that reason, I just can't justify voting against it based on the fact that our infrastructure is in desperate need of attention, and this is the only way we can do it. So,
Thank you.
and it's painful for all of us, for some of us.
City Clerk, would you call the roll? Oh, sorry, Ann, you don't want to speak again. I just flipped the light wrong.
Alderman Burris. Alderman Fisk. Alderman Braithwaite. Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Wilson. Alderman Holmes.
No.
Alderman Tindem. Alderman Grover. Alderman Rainey. 6-3.
6-3, the motion passes. Alderman Rainey, I believe that concludes ANPW, and Alderman Nguyen, you have no items. All right. Moving right along to call of the wards. Alderman Burris. Thank you. Alderman Fisk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The first thing I want to echo what the city manager said and thank Carolyn Delutri for all of her efforts on behalf of downtown Evanston. I have never known anyone with so much energy, so many good ideas. Sometimes it was just an idea a minute, and I wish her the best. Our loss is the National Trust's gain, and thank goodness she's going to do wonderful work for them on their Main Street program. The next thing I want to say is a good news story. We were alarmed to see the front door of Gigio's Pizzeria missing the other day, replaced by a piece of plywood. And after talking to them, the story went that a Northwestern student who had just recently finished his last classes and is set to graduate had a little bit too much to drink and showed up in the middle of the night and kicked in their door wanting a piece of pizza with no one there, and was appalled to find the next day that he had been responsible for that, showed up at Gigio's with a check for $600, said that he was terribly sorry and wanted to pay for the front door. So we do have wonderful students at Northwestern. I'm just so pleased to hear that, because my first reaction was, oh dear, not another incident. So thank that particular student for the Christmas present. Finally, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you. Alderman Braithwaite.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of quick items. Definitely encouraging residents in the second ward and anyone else in the city of Evanston to come out to the 2 regular scheduled meetings being hosted by the mayor. Our regularly scheduled meeting December, the second Thursday in December will be rescheduled to the second Thursday in January. I also want to announce and thank our city staff for getting this information out. January 10th, we will have a free seminar inviting all of our local businesses on how to do business with large Evanston entities, and that information will be coming. Just a special note in terms of the recent deaths of Nelson Mandela. I will not take a long time, but that is definitely someone who inspires me and continue to be a guide in life for many of us in the black community as well as the larger community. So just recognition for Mandela's death and continuing to pray for more peace in 2014. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Nguyen.
I would also like to say goodbye to Carolyn Dellutri and how sorry I am that she's going, but how lucky the National Trust is. What a fireball, wonderful ideas that she has brought to the community, and what I'm surprised when I read the announcement, what a relatively short amount of time she's been here, because there have been so many good things that have come from her being here. So good luck to Carolyn, and happy holidays to everyone else. Thank you.
Alderman Wilson.
Thank you. It's with great sadness I wanted to note the passing of Joan Kelly. She lived in my neighborhood and was a wonderful person. I'm going to miss her sense of humor, her smile, her random acts of kindness that I think most people weren't even aware that she would commit, and it's a great loss to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Holmes.
I want to say goodbye to Carolyn, too, because she really just not the downtown, but she reached out to, I believe, to the whole city and was a very special person. So we will all miss her. Happy holidays to everyone. And I want to say a special thank you to our mayor, because every time there is a tragedy in the community, she really does take the time to go and visit with those families in those blocks. And usually in my ward, I can go with her. I couldn't go yesterday, and she was out there getting cold all by herself. But I really do appreciate that, and I know that the residents appreciate it. And then lastly, December 19th is the 5th Ward potluck. Bring a dish to serve 6 people and come join us. We'd love to have you. And happy holidays.
Thank you, Alderman Tandem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too would like to congratulate Carolyn on a job well done here, and good luck in the future. I know that she's going to be quite successful wherever she goes. As I understand, she's going to stay here in Evanston, so I think it's up to us to keep her engaged in the community here. She is a true asset to this community. And secondly, I'd like to thank Kate Todd from the City Manager's Office for putting together a wonderful reception tonight for all the aldermen, mayors, city clerks, etc. It was a fun, nice group to reconnect with and actually get to know. So thank you, Kate, and happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you, Alderman Grover.
To Carolyn Dellutri for making our downtown a lively destination, a neighborhood, and a place to be, for her role in all of that. Happy holidays to all of you.
Thank you, Alderman Rainey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Same ditto on Carolyn Dellutri. One of the interesting things about her, and I'm not going to speak to her in the past, but she was able to implement things immediately. She was like a one-man band. She just did it. She made things happen. So that's always been very impressive to me. This might be a little complicated because I haven't really laid it all out yet. But over the years, there have been discussions on the council floor, especially when we raise water rates, about the possibility of transferring the charge for water, in other words, onto our tax bill somehow or another, so that it can be deducted. However, the problem with that is that the reason we keep it like it is so that Northwestern pays the taxes on the water. I am just wondering if, since this city manager and our mayor and our staff seem to be so innovative, that maybe a new look at this can be taken and some thought can be given to how homeowners can in some way move this charge to their property tax bill, to the general fund. Because it's really getting difficult, and I agree with everything that was said about that tonight. Anyway, so happy holidays, and I wish everybody a very peaceful season.
Thank you. Alderman Wilson, do you have a motion?
I do. Pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes, ILCS 120/2A, I move that the City Council convene into executive session to discuss agenda items regarding personnel, real estate, litigation, and minutes. These agenda items are permitted as subjects to be considered in an executive session and are enumerated exceptions under the Open Meetings Act. These exceptions are 5 ILCS 120/2A, C1, C5, C6, C11, and C21.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.